name's StepsBasic, and welcome back to my community show. Anyway, enough of that. Well, let's start off today's episode with something a little special. So, is there anything you might want to hear my opinion on? I know, that sounds weird, but this isn't because I'm running out of ideas or anything to talk about, but the whole idea of the community show when I first started it was to involve the community. And now that I have a bit of a bigger one and these shows actually get more of a following, I figured it'd be cool to put the question out there for y'all. Because if there's anything you guys want to hear my opinion on, you're more than welcome to ask and recommend and write down in the comments down below. That being said, is there any idea? Now, one thing, I'm limiting it. This show is on a gaming channel about gaming stuff. I do broaden it a little bit to talk about YouTube stuff and, of course, any fictional genre or fandom. However, if you do wish to ask any questions about me personally, give or take, I'll answer some questions, some I won't. But anyway, that's all I got for that part. Let's move on to the bulk of the episode. Now, this is just, it's a quirk of human nature, as it were. And honestly, we've all gone through this, unless you're like 2 years old and haven't, seen anything yourself, is how our tastes change as we grow. Aging and gaming, as it were. Now, it's true, I have mostly played the exact same style of games since I was a kid. Admittedly, there has been some variation, i.e. I started on Super Mario, I started on Burger Time, and Zelda, the original Legends of Zelda. All three of those were like the big ones that I started on. However, Double Dragon was one of the games I used to play, like way back on the NES, a long time ago. If you don't know what an NES is, ask your parents. But I've basically played the same style of video game, i.e. adventure styles, RPGs, role-playing games, etc., etc. Because those are the ones that really appeal to me. As it were, though, as it is, those games have taken on different meanings to me as I've gotten older. Now, take for instance Super Mario Brothers. The original game, very pixelated, little to no story. All we know is Princess Peach has been kidnapped and we must go rescue her. And back then, that was the extent of the story stuff. You basically, you get text on screen and you run, you do what you need to do. That's too simple for me now. I mean, that's a story arc. It's actually one of the more classic story arcs, i.e. rescuing the princess. And that is still, in my opinion, still a viable story arc. But there's got to be more to it than that. Like, my favorite bad guys are not the mustache-twirling evil villain, like, oh, you can definitely tell this person's evil. Rather, my favorite bad guys are more complex. Like, they have a goal in their plan that you can't argue against. You're more against their, like, I've talked about this before on the channel, like, you can't argue against their goal because it's a good goal, it's a lofty goal, but their plan to get there is wrong. And you see this in, like, Assassin's Creed with the Templars trying to bring peace to humanity by taking away all free will. Well, in my opinion, when you're looking at a game with a stale story arc, if you will, like go rescue the princess from the castle, the evil dragon, whatnot, I like there to be a twist. I need there to be a twist, otherwise I'm gonna get bored, because that story's played out. I've done that so many times. I talked about this last time, the whole love the storytelling and not the story told. There you go. So when you look at it, when I was a kid, that was enough for me. I felt good, I felt righteous, go save the princess and from the evil dragon. Dragon Warrior was a good one. Dragon Quest, I think it's called now. But Dragon Warrior back in the day, the original Final Fantasy, now that one is what set me really on the path to where I am now, because the original Final Fantasy wasn't the same old tried and true story of go save the princess from the castle. It started out that way, but then it moved on. There was more to the story after you saved the princess. And I'm not done with that series, so I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but there's a much deeper story in that game. And especially for its time back on the NES, that story was huge. But back then, I was just a hero saving the world. Yeah. Nowadays, I can see the complexity and the depth in that story. And it's the same when you look at Final Fantasy VII, which I have completed on the channel, by the way. Final Fantasy VII was about a group of heroes who go to save the planet from evil, destructive megalo corporation, and finds out there's somebody else lurking in the shadows who wants to destroy it and save the world, and at the same time, you know, bring his mother back because he's got mommy issues. Weirdo. Now, if you look at that story in and of itself has a lot of the things that really touched me, like the whole Aerith dying part. That even now today hits me. But when you went and saw dying in Coral Prison, when I was a kid, that part didn't mean as much to me. But now that I'm an adult, I've been in the military, I've got a kid myself, I've been married, I've got my own life going on, and then when you talk to Dine, he's like, I can't hold my kid because my hands are too bloodied. That actually impacted me more than Aerith's death in the story. And I thought that was going to be the most tragic part of the story, was, you know, what Sephiroth did. And that was horrible. And then when we hit the Dine section, something that had been almost meaningless to me as a kid suddenly carried more weight than we could have ever expected. And whew. And that's an example of how when you get older, your tastes change. Now, it's not always the same, like, it's not always about getting older. Like I said, if I'd have stayed the same person as I was when I was a kid to now, I mean, impossible as impossible is, but, you know, if I had of, it wouldn't have been about getting older. But instead, having served in the military and having a kid, having felt what Dine was talking about, having felt unworthy of such purity, as it were, I knew what that meant. And that was the experience that gave me that. I leveled up. and that's the sort of thing I like about myself now is I mean, just with the channel itself. Starting this channel has broadened my horizons. I have limited myself to mostly RPGs, Western and Japanese RPGs. I love those. I love the in-depth storytelling. I love the over-the-top stuff that happens in them, like Skyrim fighting the dragons. Woo! And Oblivion, friggin' the Shivering Isles. That place was wacky and I loved it. Going in and playing with Sheograth, because you could feel the tension as his kingdom was turning to order. And you're thinking to yourself, isn't that kind of the goal? But no, it was flip-flopped now. You wanted to maintain the chaos because that is his realm. And that in its own right was pretty cool. But like, I started up the channel and I started branching out into other games. Now, I had played puzzle platformers before, but the Swapper, I never would have got that game if I didn't start the channel. Intriguing, yes. But literally before I started my channel, I didn't look into little indie games. I didn't look into small games. I didn't look into smaller platforms. I looked into just the big games, the ones I'd hear about all the time. Because much limited by not only, you know, exposure, but also I know what I like and this is what I'm going to stick to. But then I got the channel and I'm like, if I just play the same series until it's done, I'm going to get bored. And then when the next big title comes out, I get that, I play it, I'm done. So I needed to branch out. And the first games I got were Claire and the Bunker. I did not know what to expect. But I was astounded. It was like, the Bunker itself, live action, it's on the channel, check it out. I've completed the series. I haven't done any highlights for it. I haven't done any trophy hunting for it. It was basically just the series itself. But you should check that out. It was way back at the beginning of my channel, so it's a little janky on the commentary, but I'm going to be revisiting that again sometime eventually. I can't tell you when, because honestly I don't know. But I was astounded by this game I had never heard of. It was live action, so it kind of reminded me of the Daedalus Encounter, I think it was called. Where you get to play as a little robot, and Tia Carrere was a live action character in the game, and it reminded me of stuff like that I played on the computer before. And there was a deep story there. You didn't know what to expect, and then you get to the end of it and you're like, what did I do? What did I do? And the channel in itself was an experience that opened me up to these bigger, wider, places to explore. Which is why I really want to get a computer put together that can actually run decently and I can record on it, because as it is, I got this thing, which is my work computer. I dedicate it solely to work stuff, and I've got World of Warcraft on there and I play that, but I don't want to put anything else on there because as it is, my work is slower than it needs to be. And this computer over here, which you can't see but I'm pointing at, is my potato computer. Basically, the only thing I do with this computer is watch YouTube. and it even struggles to do that sometimes. But this is something you'll notice a lot. I ramble. Sorry. But this is something that you'll notice a lot in as you get older, especially. Even now, I'm in my 30s now, and I'm getting older. I'm not as old as I like to pretend I am, but that's half of my jokes. If I get rid of that, where are my jokes, huh? But even now I'm getting older and I'm noticing my tastes are changing a bit. I played Terra and I just wasn't satisfied with the character design. I didn't think it was interesting enough. And then I saw the little dog person and I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. But when I was a kid, that was perfectly fine. Now that I'm getting older, I want more variety. I don't need just the standard human form. That was one thing that always disappointed me about the Mass Effect series, is you can never play any of the aliens. And all of the aliens, they look different, but they were basically all bipedal hominids. And I'm like, I want more. But no, you never get, oh, except for the Elcor. Don't forget the Elcor, dude, those guys are awesome. And when I was a kid, that was perfectly fine for me. I could run around as a human, a dwarf, an elf, I'd be perfectly satisfied. And matter of fact, when I was a kid, I used to love to play elves. The ageless, beautiful humanesque people. Basically angelic. Now that I'm older, I like to play dwarves more, because they're tough. They can take a hit. In fact, some of my favorite characters from fantasy novels are dwarves. The Icewind Dale series. If you haven't read that, Forgotten Realms, beautiful. Icewind Dale series, a dwarf in that one. Took a friggin' sledge right to the head, and he's like, "What?" Because dwarves, they're tough, man. They'll take a hit, and that's why I kind of like dwarves better than I like, what I used to like. Because they kind of remind me more of me. And even now you think of that other things, like playing the shooter games. I like to play sniper when I was a kid. Now give me a shotgun and I'll go, because I'm not going to sit around and wait to get shot. I'm going to go out there and get shot by myself. But I know it seems a little convoluted because I've been talking a lot and rambling, because that's what I do, especially when I don't script my videos. But essentially what it boils down to is I find it interesting, not just so much that it happens, but to what degrees that it happens. I haven't lost my love for RPGs. It's just now I interpret them differently. I get the story more now that I've experienced life more. And a romance story is much different for me now than it was when I was still the starry-eyed kid who, was looking forward to his first love. Now I've been in love, and it means so much more to me I'm a romantic at heart. Even if I've had a bad relationship in my life, I'm a romantic at heart, and I still love to see romance stories. But now I understand them more. But anyway, that was just me rambling for a bit. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And remember, if you do have anything you may want me to talk about in the future, video game, fandom, YouTube, me. I won't talk politics, I won't talk religion, and some stuff about me. Some stuff you can ask any question you want and I'll tell you whether or not I'll answer it. And basically anything. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please go and poke that like button for me. If you'd like to, of course, you can comment down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can, when I can, if I can, you know all that jazz. And tune in next time as we talk about something else. And until then, good night.